Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Skylar Santana, and on this channel we talk about all things watch related. And today we have two titanium watches from Tandorio that we will be taking a look at. And shout out to my man Chris from Merely on Time Watch Reviews for sending me this Seiko Turtle. I pretty much only paid for shipping after he was done with his review. He sent that over to me, and then we're taking a look at a pilot watch that was sent from Tandorio itself, both being titanium, these two being the first titaniums in my collection to take a look at. So I'm excited to see what the hype is all about, and we are going to be taking a look at an aspect of an affordable range, being sub 150 for both watches, both being obvious of a homage style watch. We're not going to mention which watches they are, they're pretty apparent, but the main thing is, are we getting the value for the watches that we have? Being that we are in fact taking a look at two watches, I'm going to throw the specifications up on the screen, and I'm also going to do things a little bit differently in that I'm going to be freestyling this review instead of reading off a script. I'd like to see if we're able to cover everything and if you guys enjoy the conversation a little bit better when I'm just freestyling off the hip. Now, taking a look at the Seiko Turtle first, the first thing that I want to mention is the strap that it came with. Now, I did like the pliability of the FKM strap. It wasn't an issue as far as comfort goes when it comes to its flexibility. However, I did feel that when it connected to the watch, when it sat on wrist, it was a little wonky. It was a little offset in fitting into the lugs. So even when I had it on wrist, or even taking it a look off wrist, you can see where it connects at the lug. It is a little wonky on one side, and it is going to be an issue fitting on wrist. So the first thing that I did was switch out the strap to a Montrose strap, which is also another FKM pliable rubber, and I felt that it gave a lot more aesthetic too. And that's something that we commonly see with homage watches, right? The first thing is not going to be the most value in the straps or the bracelets that they come with, so there's nothing uncommon with that. And in fact, we did do a deep dive in homage watches. I did do an unboxing first impressions on a live with my man Trap Vision 3D, and we had a nice conversation about homage watches as a whole. So if you guys are interested, take a look at that video at the end of it to see our perspectives on a deep dive on homage watches as a whole. Flipping things over on the Turtle titanium case back, we can take a look and see that we do have a screwed down crown. It is going to be sandblasted, with the rest of the case also being sandblasted throughout. There is no polishing within it. Very typical to see on a titanium watch, making it look more toolish, very evenly coated. We are getting some specifications that are engraved to the case back, otherwise being sterile. Taking a look at the side profile of the case, we are seeing a significant slope from the bottom of the case leading up to the top, which gives it a bird's eye view to be a flat style look, typically seen in a Seiko Turtle style on the case itself. That chamfered edge is nice and crisp and gives the side of the case a dynamic look, leading into the lugs that are shorter than what we normally see on lugs on a watch and nicely curved to fit the wrist proportionally. It is a screw down crown, and with those enlarged crown guards, we are going to have a little bit of a difficult time screwing the crown mostly back in. As far as functional keyless work function, I would say that you're sliding your pointer finger a little bit more to interact with that crown due to the crown guards that are covering it. It is a sterile crown. It does have some finishing on the top. The grip is not the issue. However, the crown guards do interfere, and it can be a little bit frustrating for some people, which I can understand, but for me, it wasn't a terrible big deal. It is a little bit in the way, but nothing to write home about. We are also receiving a titanium bezel with a standard diver bezel insert, loom pip at the 12 o'clock. Now, here is where I found the tolerance to be a little off. It is a little bit stuck on in that bi-directional bezel. It is a little bit harder and has higher tolerance than what we're normally used to. It takes a little bit more elbow grease to turn around. It is 120 clicks. It does function. It's not the worst bezel in the world, but there is some differences that are noted with the tolerances for it. The bezel insert lines up well at the 12 o'clock. There isn't any backplay after the settlement into position. Overall, the bezel is decently well done and not too much to complain about it other than the tolerance. We are getting a slightly domed sapphire crystal to protect the dial itself. I'm not sure if there is anti-reflective coating in it. Well, however, I can say that it didn't give me any distortion or issues looking at the dial. But there wasn't any confirmation on the website itself to note that it is AR coded. For interior design, we are absent of a chapter ring, starting off with black applied paint markers for the minutes, applied indices for the index. The logo at the 12 o'clock is in white paint. It's actually hard to read the company name. It's easier to see the logo. However, it is very subtle overall and not standing out too much. You do have the option of getting a sterile dial without the logo. And at the 6 o'clock, we get automatic divers, 200 meters in red text, the rest being in white to follow, and a Japanese movement printed at the lower 6 o'clock position. At the 3 o'clock position, we notice a date wheel aperture that is trimmed in a stainless steel polish, matching the indices that have also a stainless steel polishing around it. It is a white date wheel that is color contrasting the other indices, which is more filled with a C3 lume that has kind of a greenish tone to it, more like a vintage type of patina, which is also found on the hands, on the hour hand, minute hand, and the second hand having the same colored lume on it, with a little bit red in the tip of the second hand. The hour and minute hand are brushed in stainless steel, leaving us just with the dial now to take note of, which is a very nice texture. I have to say the dial texture to this watch is done in a very nice kind of way. I'm not sure what specifically this texture is called, but it does leave a nice color contrast between the gray and white colorways throughout it. This is powered by an NH35A, which of course we're getting hacking, hand winding, the date wheel complication, and the quick date change as well to follow it. It being 21,600 beats, it's a very robust movement, something that we're all familiar with. And this is in fact a perfect watch. If you're not familiar with titanium, if you're not familiar with an automatic movement, I would say that this watch, including the Pilot that we're going to get into next, is going to be a good place to start. If you are starting your watch collection and you got to get familiar with a mechanical movement, these are going to be great watches to get the feel, not only for the movement itself, but also for the titanium weight, which, to be honest with you, I was expecting them to be a lot lighter. They do still have some weight to it, which I like. I don't like it to be too light in feel, but you can feel the difference between this and a stainless steel model, which was lovely to experience in my opinion. I think the proportions are perfect in my 7.25-inch wrist. The watch effectively gives me the feel of a actual Seiko Turtle model, which I would be now interested moving forward in the future, which would be the advantage of going with a homage or clomage style watch like the two that we have here today. Switching gears now over to the Pilot style watch that they have on offer in titanium as well. The finishing is going to be very much the same, all of it looking like a blasted type of look to the metal throughout the entire casing. And it actually feels even lighter than the Turtle version because, of course, we don't have that rotating bezel, which would make sense as to why that weight difference would feel the same. And if I'm being honest, I was a little underwhelmed with the design when I first opened it up. I didn't think that I was going to actually like the watch, but after wearing the watch for 2 weeks, I actually enjoyed it more so, and I got attached to it, and that happened by me appreciating more of the detail and the fit for wearing the watch. The 20mm leather strap that it came with, again, nothing to write home about. It doesn't feel like it's gonna fall apart on you right away, but it's not the most pliable leather in the market in my opinion. However, again, it does get the job done, and of course we have to expect the straps and the bracelets to homage watches or affordable watches in this caliber offset the cost when it comes to its attachments and accessories. Again, we're receiving a screw down case back, mostly brushed. There is some polishing circles within it. It has engravings for the specifications on the back, otherwise being sterile, and I don't perceive the polishing that's within the case back being much of an issue, it being more so insignificant compared to its overall brushing. On the side profile to this Pilot watch, unlike the Seiko, we have more of a flat surface, all looking like a sandblast, slight curvature at the lugs, it being 20mm wide. You can also notice the crown at the side of it also being sterile, having a little bit more finishing of a coined edge on this one in comparison to the Turtle as well. The case flows into a sloped bezel that is also going to have a sandblast look, slightly domed sapphire crystal. Not sure again if there is AR coating on here, but at least in my experience, I'm not seeing any issues as far as glare goes for this watch, so maybe there is some AR coating within it. Sinking down to the hands, of course, we're getting a standard Pilot style large hour and minute hand with a thin second hand that reaches all the way to the end of the dial. The dial again being absent of a chapter ring, and we're only getting white printed minute markers and indexes with the numbers on there that are nice and bold, easy to read. At the 12 o'clock, we got a triangle with 2 dots to make the lineup of the minute hand very, very evenly when we need to do so. Honestly, this is probably where I felt a little underwhelmed. It is a choice style in a Pilot, very typical to see. However, when I noticed wearing the watch more often, that the text are actually ever so slightly raised, and that gave a nice little effect to it, a more appreciation to the dial itself that I missed on my first impressions. And I also want to skip to the dial itself. It has a lovely sunburst. It has that light and dark playing with the light throughout it entirely. At the 3 o'clock, the indice number has been replaced with a date wheel aperture in a white fashion, of course, and it's trimmed with a white paint instead of it being a stainless steel in this case, which is on par and on theme with the watch itself. And there is a good spread of lume on the hands for the hour and minute, nothing for the second hand, and the indices are loomed onto the dial as well. This watch also receiving an NH35A, which is hacking, hand winding. We have the date wheel complication that is a quick change as well, and that is what's powering both of the watches in question. Overall, I'll give both watches a close 7 out of 10. The Seiko watch, the Seiko Turtle, being more so a 6.5 for that bezel tolerance, but the Pilot watch not having any issues, it not having a bezel, of course, but to be fair, overall, I think that the Pilot watch is a 7 out of 10. Now, I get that rating based on the fact that both watches are not going to have any straps to write home about. It's very difficult in general to get straps or bracelets that are going to be on par. That's just kind of the going theme for affordable watches. But they both effectively give the feel for the watches that they are homaging or clomaging, depending on how you look at it. And I think that they're a great asset for somebody who wants to language design and get a feel for a mechanical watch. Overall, you're getting fantastic quality for value of cost on both watches. Tandorio has not let me down on any of the watches that they sent over to me. One of the misconceptions about homage or clomage watches is that you're getting a watch that's going to fall apart. That is not going to be the case on most watches being produced at this point in stage of the game. They make fantastic watches for the timepieces that they're mimicking at the end of the day. And if you aren't familiar with mechanical watches, this is where I definitely would start. Or if you're into modifying and you want to deconstruct instead of build from scratch, you can always purchase one of their watches and change out different parts that you would like to design. We have another Tandorio PT5000 powered movement that we're going to be taking a look as a deep dive for the next one. So stay tuned for that review. That is going to be a standalone. Let me also know your thoughts on this more of a freestyle review for these two watches. I pretty much just had the watches in hand as I was going along instead of reading off of a script. Let me know if you prefer that. Let me know what you guys think of titanium in general. Let me know what you think of these titanium Tandorios. I appreciate you guys for spending your most valuable asset, which is time, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.